Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday here at noon, and then I post it up whenever the heck I feel like it. Okay, this video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. There are 40,000 therapists working for them. Hello, everybody. They are master's level and PhD level. Just go to betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez, fill out a questionnaire, and they will place you with an appropriate therapist in your state or one that can do international. So there it is. Okay, so a little cleanup here. So apparently YouTube is doing stupidity again. So Andrea, who's my best friend, who we got back from Hawaii and everything, she was like, "Oh my God, I'm not getting notified that you're on anymore." And I'm like, "You subscribed, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then she went in and it was like, they unsubscribed me. And I'm like, "Really?" So if you are not getting the notifications, or if you know people who watch this, please tell them to go back in, resubscribe, because they're doing something hinky. So resubscribe, make sure you hit the like button, comment, etc. Because the more comments I get, the more algorithm I get, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, so they're and I know Andrea did not unsubscribe herself. So she was like, "What?" And I'm like, "I know, this is just the game they play." So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you're hitting like, make sure you're, telling everybody about it. Let as many people know who need to hear this stuff as you can. So there it is. Also, Shahida Arabi's new book is coming out. I'm so excited. She got a hold of me the other day. She's going to send me a copy. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to tell you guys about it, and you're probably going to want to go out and buy it because I love that woman. She is awesome. So Shahida Arabi's new book is coming out. I will let you know as soon as I get it in my hot little hands, and then I will tell you all about it. So there that is. My book I'm still working on. I will get to it. I promise, it's in the works. I just got to sit down and do it. So anyway, there that is. Okay, so much to talk about as far as current events are concerned. So this week we had a shooting in Palermo, California, which teeny tiny little town. I mean, minuscule. That's over by Oroville, which is in Butte County, which is near my stomping grounds of Chico and Gridley and all that sort of place. Anyway, this guy who was mentally ill, when they figured out his identity, he had a rap sheet that was 1.5 miles long, and he had mental health issues, obviously not medicated. So he went and pretended to be a grandfather enrolling a grandchild in this little school. And what he did is he then whipped out a gun and shot 2 kindergartners. They're both in stable condition, but they're in critical condition. And it's going to be a long haul recovery for both of them. Then he killed himself, which I'm just like, anyway, his thoughts, which were delusional, was that somehow he was going to right the wrongs going on in the Middle East if he killed children. I don't pretend to even understand how in the bleep he came to that decision. But let's talk about delusion for a little bit. So, and this is what bothers me, because everyone thinks that everyone with some sort of delusional disorder is dangerous. No, not everyone with a delusional disorder is dangerous. The ones who have command hallucinations are the ones who are dangerous. So my uncle, God love him, he had schizophrenia, and he had paranoid schizophrenia, and he had command hallucination paranoid schizophrenia. It was fun to deal with. He had a rap sheet 1 mile long. He had mental health issues. And the thing about schizophrenia is that the medication that they put you on is Seroquel, usually, which is a hard-hitting antipsychotic. The problem with Seroquel, and it's also used off-label for sleep, which I do not recommend. The problem with Seroquel is it causes tardive dyskinesia. Tardive dyskinesia is grimacing. So, and it's irreversible. So once, you grimace, if you see, like a lot of times, especially in the past, you would see homeless people, that's tardive dyskinesia. It causes muscle reactions, usually grimacing or jerking or things like that. So the nature of schizophrenia, okay, if it's command hallucination, schizophrenia, the nature of that is that the voices will tell them that the drugs are poisoning them. Technically, they're not wrong because they are very hard on your liver, but they will say, "Oh, it's poison, don't take it." So they stop taking their medication. We had this little guy at the homeless shelter. I could not keep on medication to save my life. We had him with a caseworker. We had the caseworker checking in on him daily. He would flush it down the toilet. He would, he'd go on it for a while and do great, like really great. And then he'd go off of it again. And then he'd, just go completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So it's a command hallucination, and they get these ideas of reference. They get these ideas of, oh, well, if this certain actor or actress wears a certain color, then they're sending me a signal that, okay, that's ideas of reference. So delusions can be very dangerous if they are command hallucinations. So, for example, my uncle would be walking down the street. Some guy would be across the street just talking to a friend of his, and my uncle would hear the voices, and the voices would say, "You need to go beat him up. He's trash talking you." And my uncle would. He'd cross the street and he'd just cold cock the guy. And it's like, what the, and so he was in jail all the time. He was in and out of mental hospitals. He was, um, he finally did kind of get it under control, but it took supervision to get him to take his meds and to be consistent with it and things like that. So anyway, that is, and here's the thing that bothers me. So as soon as this shooting happened, first of all, I bet you a lot of you didn't hear about it because it was pretty much buried. Now I heard about it because that's my home stomping ground, that area. So, and everyone started going gun control, gun control, gun control. Now, do I think that would help? Yes, I do. How did this guy who was a felon get his hands on guns? Obviously, what we're doing is not working. Seriously, clearly, it's like, hello. So they were doing gun control, gun control, gun control. And my first thing was, where was the oversight on the mental health? If this guy is a known severely mentally ill person, where was his caseworker? Where was the safety net kind of thing? So again, this country, for some bizarre reason, immediately wants to go to the easy button. Okay, well, the easy button would be gun control, which I do think needs to happen because a felon getting a hold of guns, that's not okay. How did he get them? Probably through the black market or underground or, whatever. But it's like they all want to go to gun control, and they all are just like, oh, okay, I see the pink pill. I don't want to look at the pink pill, but I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to look at the mental illness. Nope, nope, nope. Not going to pretend it's. I'm going to pretend it's not there. It's not there. It's not there. Well, it's there, and it's crapping in the living room, and the living room's getting filled up to the ceiling. So this is just beyond the pale as far as I am concerned. They act like the mental health is some sort of afterthought. So when they were listing all the things, oh, you had a rap sheet and then they mention the mental health, and then they go straight to gun control. And I'm like, can we just stop there with the mental health? Where was the oversight? Where was his case manager? Where was the safety net? Why are we ignoring the mental health? Oh, somebody's outside. It's probably a delivery truck. Anyway, like he hates the delivery trucks. I'm not sure why. But they ignore the mental health issue. They do. They just are like, oh, it's too big. I can't deal with it. And it's amazing to me. And so it's like in this country, we've either gone from hiding mental health and forcing kids who are neurodivergent to live in the attics, which was the Victorian era, or we warehoused them in these horrible, Penhurst and places like that. And we never dealt with the issue. We never dealt with good mental hygiene. We never dealt with healthy thinking, healthy living, healthy, how do we help these people kind of thing. And of course, you follow the money. Where's the money? Mentally ill don't have money. Children don't have money. That's why those two areas of our culture get completely ignored, which really pisses me off no end. So anyway, there is that. Now let's go on to the other shooting this week. So the CEO of United Healthcare was murdered in broad daylight by a guy that was premeditated, pre-planned, the whole thing. So let's talk about why. So obviously he knew there was an investors meeting. He knew where to wait. He knew what the guy looked like. There's a lot of questions I have, but on the gun casings, it was written, um, de deny and depose. So, healthcare is notorious for deny, defend, delay. Not in that order. So delay, deny, delay, and defend. Okay. That's what they do. When I worked again in the for an agency and we took insurance and I hated it, they would deny the claims. I mean, like literally, they were trying to tell me that this guy I told you about could work. No. He couldn't tell you what was real and what wasn't real. And if somebody's face is melting in front of you, in front of him, I don't think he's going to be a very good worker. Do you see where I'm going with that? I mean, his delusions were pretty woo-hoo out there. So the point I'm trying to make is that the healthcare industry is not there to make people healthy. Okay. They're there to make money. Now, prior to 1980s, they were a not for profit. I think it was nonprofit, not for profit. I don't quite know, understand the difference between the two of those, but they weren't there to make money. After the Reagan administration, they were there to make money. It was a money making operation. That is when you got all the claims adjusters that were like deny, 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 deny. Now, what has been happening, and this goes back to, thank you, this goes back to a topic I did a few weeks ago on artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is only as smart as the programmer, and the programmer is only as ethical as the company that's paying him. Let me just say that again. Artificial intelligence is only as smart as the programmer, and the programmer is only as ethical as the company that's paying him. Did I just drop a mic there? You bet I did. So ones and zeros, ones and zeros. That's what a program is ones and zeros. There is no empathy in there. There is no common sense in there. There is no milk of human kindness in there. Things to program for a insurance company is to get them to deny, 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 to not have to pay on it. The less claims they have to pay on, the more money they make for their shareholders. Do y'all see where I'm going with this? So they used an AI program that couldn't tell empathy, kindness, anything necessary, not necessary, to deny, deny, deny. I think it was up to like 30, it was somewhere between 32 and 90% of claims were getting denied, okay, by the AI program. Now, I do not condone murder. I don't think it's a good idea. It's, one of the 10 commandments, don't frickin' do it. You know what I'm saying? And because it is an and world, if this guy's family, friends, relatives, whatever, partner was denied healthcare and died because of it, I could understand that kind of rage. I don't condone it. I don't think he did the right thing. And it's scary to me that everybody's like, oh, yeah, go him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, this speaks to the level of anger in our country towards unjust corporations that have no empathy, no sympathy, no common sense, do not have the human touch to help intercede on behalf of the client who has been paying into these insurances their entire life, right? But the AI's loyalty lies with the shareholders. The programmer's loyalties lie with the corporation that's paying them. Do you see where I'm going with that? So an AI program is able to go in and deny, 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 deny. It's not that great having a human either. Let me tell you, when I was working again and we had to deal with insurance, I would get on the phone and a majority of my day was spent literally screaming at some pencil neck geek who didn't know their a-hole from a hole in the ground as to why this person needed to have their claim approved, why they needed therapy, why they needed, rehab, why they needed, it's just to me, which should be a common sense thing, was like, oh, well, you don't want to spend that money, and I'm just like, may the fleas of a million Arab camels make nets in your armpits. May you have the day you deserve. Seriously. So most of my day was spent screaming at insurance companies. That's why I don't take insurance. I never has. People get so mad at me. They're like, well, why don't you take insurance? Here's the reason, guys. And this is going to be a stupid reason, but you need to hear it because this is what insurance companies do. They will come and say, hey, we'd like you to get on our panel. So then you have to go apply to be on their panel, blah, blah, blah. And then they negotiate with you the price that they pay. They don't pay diddly squat, which is why you see a lot of therapists having their books just filled because they need that amount of people to make a good amount of money. So they will set the price and it can be as low as $60 a session or lower. Okay. Then of course there's the copay, and then you submit all the paperwork and some AI program now used to be a human in the past, but now it's an AI program will deny it. And then you have to go back through and reprocess it and yell and complain and take it up the chain. I don't have that kind of time. I would much rather spend the time with my clients actually, oh, I don't know, teaching them skills for how to deal with a-holes like this that think that AI is a perfectly good way to deny claims so that the shareholders get more money. Bleep the bleepity bleep bleep out of that entire corporation. I am so angry right now. I can't even. Do I think he deserved to be killed? No. Do I think it's a good idea? No. But do I understand it? You bet. You freaking, if somebody denied my family, my friends, and they died because of it, I'd be on the warpath. I really would. Probably writing letters because that's what I do. But the point being is people get pushed to their limits, and I understand it. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's right. But and then this glorification and oh, he's so cute. I'd sleep with him. I'm just like, you realize he's a cold-blooded killer. Hello. That kind of a red flag. Speaking of red flags. So do you see where I'm going with that? So the point being is they deny and they don't pay their people well and this is the thing that made me go, you know what? Middle finger to all of you. So what they said is that, well, if you get onto our panel, you cannot do private pay people. I'm sorry. Excuse me? What? So I can't take somebody that doesn't have insurance and have them do a cash pay for a lower price? Oh no, that's insurance fraud. You'd lose your license. We'll turn you into the board. How about F you? How about no? How about suck it? How about, you know what? I'm going out on my own. Have a nice day. Have the day you deserve, you corporate whore. Seriously. So you cannot take a cash pay client if you're doing insurance. If you do, it's considered insurance fraud. By who? The insurance company. Now, let me clue you into something. I work with domestic violence targets. I do a sliding scale. I can go as low as I freaking want, and I often do. My normal fee is 150, but if there's financial issues, I drop it down. Now, and I warn them, look, if you are jacking with me and you start talking about expensive trips or you're doing a bunch of expensive stuff, I'm going to look at you and go, and why are you not paying me what I'm worth? Seriously, that very rarely happens. I think twice in my career I've had to do that. So the point being is that if a therapist is taking insurance, they can't then take cash clients and they can't set their own cash thing. I've had instances where I've done pro bono, completely pro bono, because I knew the person didn't have a pot to piss in and they were dealing with an asshole, capital A, that was going to kill them if they didn't get out of the situation. I am not going to be party to that. I'm going to do what I can. So dog face banana patch. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is insurance corporations are a middleman. You don't need them if you have ethical people in the industry, in the medical industry. Now, that's the problem. So what's happening in Texas is that women are being turned away if they're having any sort of pregnancy issues because the doctors are afraid of losing their license if they end up having to abort. I'm not going to get into the whole abortion thing, but I do want to get into medical necessity. Fallopian pregnancies are not viable. They will kill the mother and kill the baby or the fetus. Do you see where I'm going with that? Those need to be finished. If the fetus dies in the womb, you have to do a D&C, cleaning it out, in order to not get infections, in order to not die. Okay. I don't think politicians have taken basic frickin' anatomy. So this whole medical thing, this whole insurance thing is fundamentally broken. And if you're allowing people to die when they could be saved, and may I remind the doctors out there, do no harm, Hippocratic oath, hello. And they're more afraid of losing their license. I'll tell you what, The board no longer scares me. The board is there to protect the public 110%. But if somebody is going to try to threaten me with the board, I say gloves off, game on, try me, bitch, because I will protect my clients to the end because they are my clients and I am the one that's supposed to be watching out for them. So it just, and so that's why I don't take insurance, because I want to be able to adjust the price appropriately to the situation. If it's a single mom with 4 or 5 kids and they're in an abusive relationship and the guy is going to kill them, you bet your sweet bippy I'm going to do pro bono. If it's a single mom and, or a single dad, okay, it's not just women I work with, and they're in an abusive relationship and they've got a divorce case going and they're trying to get their kids and they're trying to get custody and they're trying to make sure the kids are safe. You bet I'm going to work with them. You bet I'm going to do pro bono. I can only take a few pro bono. I can't do a lot, because if I did a lot, I would not be able to support myself. But I can take a few pro bono, and I usually do reasonable amounts that are doable, So, and if they can afford my full price, freaking huzzah. So anyway, that's why I don't take insurance, because I'll be damned if I'm going to let some freaking corporate whore tell me how I can help people. They can suck it, as far as I'm concerned. So the anger that's around healthcare and, this CEO getting killed and people cheering, I understand it. I do. I don't think it's a great idea to go around killing people, but I understand it. So anyway, there is that. I'm sorry, I spent way too much time on that. So let's talk about vulnerable versus gullible. Okay. So a lot of us fear being vulnerable. Okay. Because being vulnerable means to be open. Okay. You're vulnerable. You're open. And the best example I can give of that, and I'm a geek, so please bear with me, Helm's Deep. Okay. Helm's Deep in Lord of the Rings. So vulnerability in the wall, there was a little culvert where the water could slip through. And King Theoden was a little arrogant, a little magic thinking, a little gullible. Oh, no, nobody could get through there. It's too small. No, that's not going to be a problem. Well, guess what the orcs did? They went straight for the vulnerability, which is why we don't like being quote unquote vulnerable. So in war, that's what vulnerability is. Okay, you've got a vulnerability. You've got an opening. You've got an opening where somebody could come in and hurt you. The problem of it is it's a double-edged sword. So in order to have a healthy relationship, you got to be vulnerable. You got to be open. You got to be allowing the emotions. Okay. In an unhealthy relationship, that is a liability if you do that. Okay. So you got to trust your gut. It's like, when is it safe to be vulnerable? And when is it not safe to be vulnerable? Now, with a narcissist, it is never safe. It is never. Listen to me now. Believe me now. It is never safe to be vulnerable with them. They will take whatever information you have given them that is sensitive, and they will work that wound. They'll stick their finger in it and they'll just work it open until you're raw and bleeding, because they are a-holes. Okay. So we learn because of that experience not to be vulnerable, and we kind of harden ourselves, or we kind of keep everybody at arm's length, which is understandable because we've been hurt, right? But to love is to risk being hurt. That's the nature of it. There are no guarantees in life, in anything. It'd be nice if there were. It'd be fabulous, but it doesn't work that way. So allowing the emotions, that's being vulnerable. Being authentic, that's being vulnerable. Being your true self, that's being vulnerable. Those are all good things. But the key is learning how to know when and when not to be vulnerable. So how do we do that? So, okay, that has to do with self-esteem. That part has to do with self-esteem and trusting your gut. Okay, the gut instincts. You walk into a room, you get that weird vibe. Have you ever done that? You walk into a room and you're just kind of like, ooh, that person, I just want to, what is up with that? That's your gut instinct. Okay, shields up, phasers on stun. That's what you want to do. Okay. So you don't share with people that are not trustworthy and that have not kind of shown that they are trustworthy. Now, a narcissist will pretend to be trustworthy in the beginning, but what they'll do is they'll mine for information when you're being vulnerable, okay, i.e., kind of gullible. And we're going to get into that. And you're giving them all this information, and then they will turn it around and throw it back at you during the devalue and discard phase. Now, let's talk about gullibility. So, gullible is believing anything and everything the narcissist says. That's being gullible. That's like believing their lies, believing their whatever they're doing, taking information and not verifying it. So, vulnerability is, when done appropriately, is the sign of somebody who is emotionally mature, because you know when to be vulnerable and you know when to do shields up. Okay. This is all a part of boundaries. Okay. So the 2 books I want you to work on for this would be Facing Codependency by P.M. Melody, The Disease to Please by Harry Breaker. Okay, I lied, 3 books. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. You got to know who you are. You got to understand what you're feeling, where you're coming from. Where did this, where are these thoughts coming from? Inner Child Workbook, Catherine Taylor. Regaining the Inner Child by Lucia Cappuccioni. All of these books help to strengthen your knowledge of who you are. And it's okay to be vulnerable, but it's only okay to be vulnerable when you know the audience that you're being vulnerable with. Does that make sense? It's also super important to be vulnerable with yourself. So how do we deny our own vulnerability? We have a tendency to be like, I'm not going to cry. Screw that. I'm not going to cry. Nope, that's a weakness. Well, because if we were raised by a narcissist, my dad, total narcissist, total borderline narcissist, oh my God, he hated tears. He could not understand them. It pissed him off. Oh, he would hit us if we cried because it pissed him off. He couldn't understand it. He couldn't relate. He didn't know how to make it stop. So he thought the way to make it stop was to hit us, which of course only made us cry more. So we learn very quickly that tears are not safe. And so they hate any sign of quote unquote weakness. But what they don't understand, because they're arrogant and they're stupid and they don't have the same emotions we do, they don't understand that vulnerability is actually a superpower, because it's also involved with empathy, feeling, allowing the feels, to feel the feels, to put yourself in somebody's other's shoes, to know, wow, how must that feel? You know what I'm saying? That's why AI is so dangerous, because you don't have that. You've got ones and zeros, programmed by a programmer, paid off by a corporation. So to feel the feels, to understand the emotions, that's what makes us human. That's what makes us amazing. And to trusting our gut. That gut instinct never steers us wrong. The head will steer us wrong. It will tell all sorts of stories. The gut never does. The heart will steer us wrong. It will also tell all sorts of stories. If you ask your gut a yes or no question, it will give you a yes or no answer. If there's story around it, that's either your head or your heart getting in the way. And you have to tell both of those to shut the bleep up. Okay. Gullibility is when we so desperately, and this is also mixed with magic thinking, which is something we do because of the nature of our family of origin, or the fact that we were in a romantic relationship with one of these jackwagons. Gullibility is believing them. We want to believe them. That's the magic thinking. We want to believe them. So they've cheated on us 100,000 million times, but we want to believe that last time was the last time. That's magic thinking. So we want to believe what we want to believe. Now, here's the funny thing. Narcissists do that. Narcissists only hear what they want to hear. They don't hear that they're the bad guy ever. They don't hear inconvenient truths. They don't hear, any of the stuff that they need to hear. So they have magic thinking as well. Ours is on the more hopeful side. Like, I hope this time will be the last time. I hope this never happens again. Maybe it'll get better. That's all magic thinking. That is all magic thinking. So it's really important to work on that magic thinking so you are not gullible. And this is something that a lot of survivors of abuse hate when I start working on it with them, because now they're having to face how they kind of didn't listen to their gut, didn't verify, didn't, they just were like that magic thinking. I want to believe, I want to believe, I want to believe, little kid kind of thing. And that's when we have to go into how old are you? How old are you when you're believing things that your gut's telling you are not true? You know what I'm saying? What age are we dealing? Oh, 5. Oh, okay. Let's work on 5-year-old you. What happened when you were 5? And then we start working on that. And that's usually where the first trauma is wherever that gullible magic thinking kind of comes into. So it's really important to always check in with your gut and verify. So when I have trolls, which I do have trolls, unfortunately, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, I don't believe you. Blah, blah, blah. Great. Here's all the articles I've read. Here's all the books I've read. Here's all you go verify it yourself. Have fun with that. Do you see where I'm going with that? So, and also on an everyday basis, the internet on a daily basis is throwing stuff up that's not real. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen articles where so and so just died today. And I'm like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. And I am not clicking on that. Have a nice day. So you got to verify. You got to verify. And we've got to get into the habit, like brushing our teeth, of verifying. That is the best way to stay safe. You verify facts. You verify what's going on. Now, with an abuser who's been a cheater, right? They don't change. They do not change their spots. They don't. Narcissists do not get better. I don't care who tells you they do. They do not. And if they do get better, it's because somebody's got their eyes on them, either the court or a therapist or a family member or, something, and they're having to change their behavior for a small amount of time. It never sticks. It never sticks. Even Frank Anderson said that. He's like, they change for a small amount of time, but it never sticks. They do not stay fixed because they don't want to, because it serves their purposes to do what they're doing. And they literally think they've never done a wrong thing in their life. Ever. They truly believe that. Truly. So, all right. So gullible is believing everything with a little bit of magic thinking in there, kind of like, well, I want it to be true, so I'm going to believe it, instead of, okay, verify. And let's look at past history. The past is prologue. How someone has behaved in the past, and not just a one-off, but like consistently behaved in the past, is prologue to how they're going to behave in the future. It really is, especially with narcissists, So you really want to take a look at the past behavior. If they've cheated on you multiple times, they're going to keep doing it. There's a payoff for them. They get something out of it. Your tears are delicious to them. They enjoy torturing you. They do. They enjoy hurting you. They're sadists. I can't stress that enough. So, and the idea that somehow you're going to be able to say the magic phrase that's going to get through to them, please let that one go. There is literally no there with an abuser. There is not. Male, female, doesn't matter. There is no there. There is no thing that you can say to them or show them that will make them stop abusing. And that's where a lot of targets of abuse get stuck, because they just keep thinking it. And it's the inner child that's driving it. I can guarantee it. They just keep thinking, if I say the right thing, if I do the right thing, then they're going to finally see who I am. Nope. They cannot see beyond the end of their nose. No, sirree, Bob. Please stop. And if you're in a divorce case with one of these jackwagons and you keep poking the bear, trying to get them to see who you are, stop. You are literally handing them all the ammo they need for the divorce case or the custody case. For the love of God, for the love of your children, stop. When you get a nasty email, received, that's all you need to say, unless it has to do with the kids. Stop handing them the court cases on a silver platter. Seriously. Stop engaging. Stop trying to make them understand. Stop trying to say the right thing or do the right thing. There is no right thing with them, sweetheart. You could be 100% perfect and they will find something wrong with it, because that is their nature. Again, nature is everything. The toad and the scorpion. Toad and scorpion are on one side of the river. Scorpion comes up to the toad and says, Mr. Toad, give me a ride across the river. And the toad says, no, you're going to sting me when we're halfway out. No way. And this scorpion goes, no, I wouldn't do that. We'd both drown. Why would I do that? And Toad thinks about it, and Scorpion, he goes, okay, yeah, come on. Scorpion climbs on his back. They get out into the middle of the river, and sure, Scorpion stings the Toad. And as they're going down, the Toad looks at the Scorpion and says, why? Why did you sting me? Why? Now we're both going to drown. And the Scorpion looks at him and says, because it's in my nature. There you go. That's a narcissist. They would rather burn the entire family to the ground to rule over the ashes. That's all they care about is power. So anyway, gullible, magic thinking is what gets us into trouble. The next thing that gets us into trouble is denial. And that is going to be the topic next week, because I want to talk about denying, because that is deadly. That will get you killed. Seriously. If you're in a relationship with a dark triad, denial is deadly. It will get you killed. So let's talk more about that. So vulnerable is good as long as it is with the appropriate person. Gullible is never good. Okay. Gullible is believing everything without any sort of common sense or any sort of checking, verifying, etc. Does that make sense? So, and there's magic thinking involved. So work on the magic thinking. Where in your life do you have magic thinking? Where are you gullible? Where do you just believe without verifying? Where is the magic thinking, and how old are you when you realize that you're doing well, I wish it was this way, so I want it to be this way, so it's going to be that way. So how old are you? How old are you? So the books to work on, I kid you not, Self-Esteem Workbook, Lynn Schiraldi, okay? Facing Codependency, Pia Melody, The Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker, Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker, Regaining the Inner Child by Lucia Capaccioni. I always think of Lucia coffee drink. I don't know, that's the easiest way for me to remember it. Anyway, so that's what I want you to do. Okay, we are going to hit the questions, and let me get out of all of these. Oh my goodness, I have 100,000 million tabs open. Good Lord. Okay, let me get these all closed. Okay, there we go. Last one. There we go. All right, let me get to the questions. All right. Do vulnerable narcissists exist? No. I read about the term vulnerable narc, but it often comes across as a narc who pretends to be vulnerable, but who is not truly vulnerable. So here's the deal. There is no such thing. There is a group of my peers, don't get me started, that love to make excuses for abusers. Let's just be clear. They love to make excuses. And so they're like, oh, they're hurt. Hurt people. Well, that is true. Hurt people do hurt people, but that is no freaking excuse. Okay. It's just jumping F bomb on that. You know, this is for those peers that want to make excuses for them. This one's for you. Anyway, they are not vulnerable. They know exactly what they're doing. If you would like to read more on narcissists, there are some great books out there. Shahida Arabi has got great books on that. There's the Object of My Affection is in My Reflection, Coping with a Narcissist by Roquel Lerner. Object of My Affection is in My Reflection, Coping with a Narcissist by Roquel Lerner. There are no vulnerable narcissists. That is an excuse made up by my peers who probably have got very strong traits or are narcissists themselves. And this is why I don't get along with a lot of therapists, because they don't agree with me on that. And I don't care, because they have not had personal experiences with narcissists, and I have. So, anyway, no, there is no vulnerable narcissist. Oh, they're just wounded children. No, they're not. You want to know how I know they're not? Frank Anderson. Okay. He works with them. He tries to help them. They don't stay helped. They don't stay changed. Healthy, normal people do. Did I mention that? Did I just mention that? So yeah, they don't stay changed. They only change for a very short amount of time. They know exactly what they're doing, and that is why they are dangerous. Okay. The dark triads. Let's talk about the dark triads. The dark triads are the most dangerous. You garden variety narcissist, whatever. But if you're dealing with a dark triad, which is narcissistic, psychopath, antisocial, control freak, they're dangerous because they're, what's the word I'm looking for? They're arrogant. They think they know better than everybody else. They think they're above the law. They think they can get away with things. Okay. They devalue everyone around them because they have to be the smartest, the funniest, the best looking, the this, the that, the ba. They are the ones who generally do the stalking. They are the ones who generally do the killing and domestic violence. Statistically, if you look at the statistics on domestic violence, the ones that are caught are dark triads. So, yeah, they're dangerous. It's not safe. They are cunning, but they're not that smart. They think they're smart, but they're not that smart because they tell you exactly what they're going to do. When a narcissist says, I am going to do X, Y, and Z, they are literally going to do X, Y, and Z. And when a client says, oh, well, my narcissist said they're going to do this, 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 and this, and then they go, oh, well, they would never do that. Now we're back to the magic thinking. Now we're back into the deniability, the denial, the gullibility. I want to believe they would never do this. And then they're shocked when they do. So and this is especially true in divorce case. Oh, they would never do that. They would never use the kids as pawns. They would never stalk me. And then they do. And I'm just like, okay, we need to work on getting out of the denying, getting out of the gullibility, getting out of the magic thinking, because it's going to get you killed. So that's why I want to talk more about denial, why it is so deadly. They will do it. They will tell you exactly what they are going to do. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then they will do it. And then everyone acts shocked when they do. And it's like, you shouldn't be. They told you. You've got, when they say they're going to do something, they are going to do it. Absolutely, 110%. So if they've threatened you, if they've threatened the kids, if they've, I'll bankrupt you, I'll do this, I'll do that, believe them. Believe them, because statistically they do. They absolutely do. So let's see. Is there anything else? Nope. Looks like that is it. All right. Next week, I'm sorry I went so long on my rambling, but there was a lot I wanted to cover today. So to recap, vulnerability is okay, but you got to know your audience. You got to know who you're being vulnerable with. Being vulnerable with yourself is excellent. Allow that opening. Allow the emotions. Allow yourself to cry. It's okay once you're away from the abuser, or even if you're in still the relationship with them when they're not around, allow yourself to feel. Because what they want is for everybody to be as dead inside as they are. And ultimately they want us dead. That's really their ultimate goal, is they want everyone dead as they are. So anyway, please take good care of yourselves. If you are in an abusive relationship, really seriously think about getting out. Now would be a good time. Drink plenty of water, read the books I recommend, get into some support groups, recognize that there are narcissists in support groups. If something sounds off, don't have anything to do with them. Let's see what else. Yeah. So next week we're going to talk about denial. Denial is deadly, and how to get out of it, because that's, again, magic thinking. So we got to start confronting or dealing with that inner child that just wants everything to be okay. Well, it's not. If you're in an abusive relationship, it is never going to be okay. So as long as you're with them. So anyway, that is it, guys. All right. Have a great week. Drink plenty of water. Stay hydrated. Get some sun. Get some exercise. Read up on these books. Take good care of yourselves. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, etc., because YouTube's doing something weird and they're like unsubscribing people. My best friend Andrea was like, I'm not getting your stuff anymore. What's going on? I'm like, go check. And she's like, damn. And I'm like, yeah, I told you. So she had to resubscribe. So make sure you're sharing these. And that's it. All right. I will talk to you guys next Sunday. Bye.